Nick, good to see you. I love it. Hey, y'all, what's going on? It's us over here at the Making Me Matter radio show. Hey, Deacon Charles, my Uncle Deke, good to see you. Paula West, if you guys are on Facebook, on our Facebook Live, we see you guys chiming in and jumping on. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another wonderful Making Me Matter radio show. And it's me and Lance, and we are up here about to do our thing. There's so much that I wanted to talk about. You guys know today is Prince's birthday. Lance, today is the Purple One's birthday, and he is 60 years old.
No, he isn't.
Well, he would have been 60.
He ain't 60.
What is he?
He's dead.
Lance!
I'm just being honest.
Oh, my gosh. Are we starting early?
No, it's not. He's not 60 years old. You stop aging when you die.
When you die, that's a fact. I can't even say anything. Hey, God bless you as well to those who tune in.
Barney at first.
See how we starting? He's starting early. Y'all see this craziness right here? Yeah. So we today Prince would have been 60 years old. I'm gonna be honest with you.
That.
Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Prince would have been 60 years old, and I'm going to be honest. I have I've been listening to Prince all day today. Oh my gosh. I have been rocking out to Prince all day today, and
hope he get you to that altar.
Wait. Let's give hand claps for Jesus. Anyway, you know how we like to start up.
If that's the case, you know a song that was talking about that?
Oh gosh.
About Prince?
Which one?
Come on, you such a Prince fan.
Which one?
It's called The Ladder.
Ooh.
You don't know that song?
I don't know that song.
So that means you're a Surface Prince fan.
I'm going to give you a surface in a second.
It's called The Ladder off the Raspberry Beret album.
I have The Ladder. Lori, do you know the song The Ladder by Prince? I'm sure she'll probably respond and she's going to say, you don't know that song? So, here he goes starting. Hey, y'all. Lori said she's getting ready to lay her head down. Her allergies are killing her. And now she has to tune in because she can't miss the show. Big shout out to you, Lori. So, big shout out to everybody that's tuned in. Lance, don't forget, tonight we are doing the Father's Day giveaway. I am so super excited. We're giving away some tickets to Ron Snipes' comedy show, which is taking place this weekend. And we're giving away...
And some ties. That's all we ever get for Father's Day.
Oh my gosh. You know what the funny thing is?
What?
I almost thought about that, but I said that's all they ever get. Oh, okay. I would normally, that's the first thing that a Father's Day gift is. Literally is to automatically give them a tie. I said, no, we're not going to do a giveaway with ties this year. So, big shout out to everybody that's on. Let me ask you guys a question. Those who are just tuning in, put up what city, what state, what country. Where are you guys at right now? We want to make your city matter. We want to make your city matter right now. Where are you at? You know how we do. We do the roll call.
Father's Day.
We want to go ahead and know where you are repping. Where are you? What city, in what state, what country are you in? We've been getting people in from the Philippines, from Brazil, from South Africa. It's been
from
crazy.
Jail.
Lance, wait.
Let's just call it what it is, yo. We got some people in from jail.
Wait, I can't.
Shout out to my brothers on lockdown.
I cannot.
That's right.
Deacon is out in Denville. Yes. And listen.
He rich.
Yeah. Denville. And then,
Thank you, Lori. Thank you.
Lori said.
Thank you, Lori. Everybody wants salvation of the soul. What's the use of telling half a story, half of the dream? You got to climb all the ladders in between. You ain't no Prince fan, and you don't know that, and you didn't even know what album was off. What you are is you're a When Doves Cry, Purple Rain, Little Red Corvette. You one of those with the mainstream songs you know. If you can't recite Tambourine and Lady Taxi Driver, you can't recite. You can't recite all that.
Thumbs up.
You can't recite all that. Then you ain't no Prince fan.
What you're not gonna do?
What I'm gonna do is tell the truth.
What you're not gonna do?
Lori, thank you.
Come for Tiffany Renee right now.
Thank you.
Back up.
You know I like that.
No, back up.
Oh God. That's right. Shout out to Omega Sci-Fi. There you go. Do it again.
No.
Do it again. I'm a Prince fan. How you not know the ladder?
How about what you not gonna know in 2 seconds? Before, I'm trying not.
You ain't trying to do nothing. You think because you ain't got your weave in now that you popping. You popping.
Oh, wait a a minute. Oh, we gonna come for the weed right now? No,
I'm just
the
saying.
only thing that's gonna pop. I'm not gonna promote violence on the show. Oh, thank you.
It looks better.
Thank you. Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm not gonna do what you're not gonna do. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another crazy night of Making Me Mad with, obviously Tiffany and Lance. So wait, Lance, I want you to talk about something. What's going on with Kaepernick? I saw something. Kaepernick's legal team expected to see subpoenas because no, I ain't got to read it, sweetheart. I know what's going on, so I don't need no context clues. You make me so.
So what's happening is basically, remember, so he and Eric Reed were the first ones to take a knee during the peaceful protests. Boyer told him that he would rather them. He was an ex military. I believe he was a Green Beret, and told him, he said, it's considered more respectful to take a knee rather than just sit. So that's what he did. Tried to have a peaceful protest. So what happened is they are trying to prove collusion all throughout the league that some of these quarterbacks are garbage. And Kaepernick still doesn't have a job or was not offered a job. And all the ones who took the lead in there, the Eric Reeds and stuff, who's a safety in the league, he doesn't have a job either. So basically what they're doing is subpoena phone records from the man with one of the biggest mouths, which is Jerry, owner of the Dallas Cowboys. And basically they're subpoenaing records to show that he was in cahoots with Trump and Pence. See, what people don't realize is that Trump wanted to own a football team, and he tried to buy the Buffalo Bills. And ever since they've kept him out of the football league, he's been really messy. And I've never seen a president that involved in what's going on in sports.
In sports,
and you know what I'm saying? Like, when you guys mad stuff going on, and like, your house is not in order, but you worried about what's going on in sports, and want to tweet about everything.
You didn't even hear him tweet much about his wife when she was in the hospital getting surgery.
Whatever. I mean, but the point being is that so basically they're subpoenaing records for them to try to prove that basically they were trying to keep this dude out the league, because of his stance.
Well, I think he's doing the right thing, of course. Another thing I wanted to talk about real quick: Kim Kardashian has a visit with Trump.
I saw that too. And
you see, Alice Johnson has been released from prison. So Miss Johnson saying it was a miracle. She said, I know that only God could have touched Kim Kardashian's heart like that. Now, I'm going to read something after this. Kim Kardashian's heart like that, and we have connected. This woman is now 63 years old, been in jail for 21 years.
Over a drug charge.
Her first drug charge. And she said that...
in Alabama.
Well, yeah. She said that she felt something when she saw and heard my story, and I'm so thankful for it. I can't explain. It's a miracle. This Tennessee grandmother said Kim Kardashian and her team worked to free Johnson, who spent 22 years behind bars for a first-time non-violent drug offense. So here's the thing, right? I'm going to tell you what somebody else said. There's a music video director who says that Kim Kardashian is doing this as a publicity stunt.
It's called being an opportunist. Like, you're acting like it's not...
that's my favorite word.
I'm just saying, her, then, like, come on, yo. So many other people, no disrespect to this woman. Yes, I do believe she should be out, but there's so many people that have gotten out of prison that should not have been, but there are also those that have been wrongly convicted.
Right.
Nothing against his grandmother. She was guilty.
Right.
But the point is, her sentence shouldn't have been that long. But when you have people who have been wrongly convicted,
right,
and they're still sitting there trying to get stuff overturned, that's a little bit problematic to me.
You know what?
But I mean, it is what it is.
I agree.
I don't know if Kanye was popping something that day and convinced her to, go do this or whatever. I don't know what it was, but it, you always got to find a silver lining. So I'm happy that this woman was able to get out.
I'm happy that she's out too.
And I guess beggars can't be choosy.
At the end of the day, so it is what it is with that. So, but the funny thing is that you mentioned Kanye. I guess it's only because Kanye is as close to Trump as he think he is. So here, real quick, I wanted to talk about also, and we're not going to stay on Kate Spade, but fashion designer Kate Spade went ahead and hung herself. She committed suicide. She was found with a scarf wrapped around her neck to her bedroom door by her housekeeper. And so I want to talk about some things because she was 55 years old, left a 13-year-old daughter. She and her husband were going through a divorce. Well, no, let me stop. They were separated, but they were not legally separated because there were all these speculations going out saying, he was leaving her and all this.
The point is, we don't know.
We don't know. But guess what? He made a statement. And so his statement said, Kate was the most beautiful woman in the world. She was the kindest person I've ever known and my best friend for 35 years. My daughter and I are devastated by her loss, and I can't even begin to fathom life without her. We are deeply heartbroken and miss her already. Kate suffered from depression and anxiety for many years. She was actively seeking help and working closely with her doctors to treat her disease, one that takes far too many lives. We were in touch with her the night before, and she sounded happy. There was no indication and no warning that she would do this. It was a complete shock, and it clearly wasn't her. There were personal demons she was battling. For the past 10 months, we had been living separately, but within a few blocks of each other. B, which is their daughter, was living with both of us, and we saw each other or spoke every day. We ate many meals together as a family and continued a vacation together as a family. Our daughter was our priority. We were not legally separated and never even discussed divorce. We were best friends trying to work through our problems in the best way we knew how. We were together for 35 years. We loved each other very much and simply needed a break. This is the truth. Anything else, check this out, anything else that is out there right now is false. She was actively seeking help for depression and anxiety for the last 5 years, seeing a doctor on a regular basis and taking medication for both depression and anxiety. There was no substance abuse or alcohol abuse. There was no business problems. We loved creating our businesses together. We were co-parenting with our beautiful daughter. Okay, so here's the thing. He also said, I have yet to see any note left behind, and I'm appalled that a private message to my daughter has been so heartlessly shared with the media. My main concern is B in protecting her privacy as she deals with the unimaginable grief of losing her mother. So my thing is the media is going to say a whole lot. People are going to say a whole lot, but you heard it from there, and all you can do is take it based on her husband's his statement. I mean, there's no more to look into, but he did say she was battling depression and anxiety. We don't know what goes on in people's household. Depression is real. Anxiety is real. Mental illness is real, but we don't want to be coded as dealing with mental illness. And so I wanted to talk about different signs of suicide. Oh, this is something else. Will Smith, what's her name? Janet Hubert, the first Aunt Viv, is blaming Will Smith because her son, the day after Kate Spade, her son allegedly tried to attempt suicide, and she's saying it's Will Smith's fault. Then the day before Kate Spade died, there was a young woman in Patterson, beautiful girl, who went to the top of this bridge and jumped. I wanted to talk today just about mental illness, mental health, and suicide. So, Lance, what are your thoughts about suicide? What leads a person to get to that place of actually committing it? What are your thoughts?
I mean, can't anybody say? First of all, it comes in many different forms. See, everybody wants to be famous. Everybody wants to be in the spotlight.
Right.
Everybody wants to make the money that comes along with that type of lifestyle. But you don't realize how much pressure is on people when they decide to, take up that mantle. First of all, you're open to everyone. You're open to everyone, and you're in a public light completely. And you got people 24/7 sitting there. Want you. Like I was saying, somebody goes to a restaurant and they want somebody to be Bill Cosby all the time, or they want somebody to be, this person. Like, like they constantly want somebody to be that individual. So with that being said, it becomes a little bit problematic for people to live their lifestyles the way they would want to. More than likely, this person had depression before. They wound up getting into the entertainment business or any type of business there is that that has to deal with the public eye. We can't necessarily say what it is that triggers somebody, could be relationships. It could be
be
being overworked. It could be some people fold to peer pressure. Some people care what people think. I mean, it can be several things. And then not only that, like what people don't realize, stuff runs in the family.
Right.
Like you have things that truly run in the family. And I mean, you know, it's hard to kind of battle against
mental
certain
illness
things.
can be genetic.
Most definitely.
Oh,
most
I
definitely.
believe it, but there's some people that really don't know that.
It's been proven. So whoever doesn't know that, they need to do the statistics a little bit more. More than likely, if a person, I'm not going into all that right now. Pick up a book and read. But you know, at the end of the day, it comes down to what are you doing to acknowledge your problems and your situations. Are you going to seek help for it? Are you going to, and if the help that you're seeking, the quote unquote therapist, psychiatrist, psychologist, whoever you're going to is not working for you, then you need to switch up and change to, a new therapist or a psychiatrist or psychologist. I'm not beat for always though, and I'm gonna keep it real with you, and everybody gonna probably get mad, and as usual, I don't care. But it comes down to this. I think we're dealing with a weak generation. And I'm saying generation, not just an age group. I'm just saying where we are in society now. Me being the age I am, I've never seen in my generation growing up as many people wanting to kill themselves for the certain things.
Right.
I mean, the more we're exposed to different type of technology, social media, like you constantly see more people having conversations about you, and it's easy to be a social media thug. It's easier for people to say things through the airwaves, and this, that, and other. But a lot of people don't talk to each other's face or say what they have to say, or they don't even resolve or deal with their problems because they want to get a gauge of what people think by my Facebook friends. I just want to ask this question, and that's how people conduct themselves. So I say that to say that a lot of us don't deal with our real problems, and we don't face our problems. We have this anti-bullying thing and these HIB things where, I guess, and I'm not heartless because I worked in a school for a long time, but, sometimes you got to let kids work out their problems and situations themselves. But it just seems like they break like toothpicks now, and a lot of people, they just can't take a lot of pressure. Am I saying that makes them wrong? No. Mm-hmm. Am I saying it makes us right? No, that's not what I'm saying. But I feel like sometimes when you constantly are telling people that, people are mean and this, that, and other, and you don't get people to work through their problems and situations, they try to find a quick way of escape. So,
but you know what? What do we do to? Do me a favor, put that back up there for me. What do we do to go ahead and acknowledge that we even have a problem? You see what I'm saying? So, okay, so you, even though if you're facing or dealing with depression, he said that his wife was dealing with it. Was going through counseling for 5 years.
No disrespect. I don't want to stay on Kate Spade. No, I'm not trying to be funny.
No, I'm not talking. Okay, no, I'm just using her as an example.
Because it goes on in my community, and it's been going on so long, and it just and that's honestly, I would rather focus on that. And this is why I'm going to tell you why. It's not until somebody rich in Hollywood or somebody famous and stuff that we want to sit there and pay attention. Mental illness has been going on in my community for a long time, and the reason why I really don't want to focus on her and focus on us, because us, right, in our community, we've been taught as quote unquote minorities,
right,
as black folks, as people of ethnicity, people of ethnicity, that, at the end of the day, it's like we're always like, you can't be sick. You can't, like, think about it. When we were growing up, I beat it out of you. If something was wrong with you, we was going to get a spanking for it. We were going to cure it.
Especially being a male.
And this is my point.
Yeah.
So, like, we're talking about Kate Spade. No, I don't want to, no, look, God rest her soul. But I'm just saying, it's been going on in our community for so long. And I feel like we need to tackle those problems first, because there's a root to every problem. There's a root to every problem. How do we tackle the things that are infrastructure? How do we tackle the things that are going on in our community? How do we tackle the kids that, because of the fact that, because see, I know kids who every day they don't have no running water, they don't have no clothes on the back, they don't have no shelter, they don't have nothing, and they ain't jumping out windows, they ain't killing themselves. So is it the toughness in our community that we've kind of been taught, or is it that you understand what I'm saying? That's what
I understand
I'm saying.
that, but you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. Toughness isn't taught anymore. Period. You know, I agree. It's not taught. You know, my grandparents, when I think about my grandmother, when I think about my grandfather, and my dad's mom, my dad's father, these were all working people.
Let me share something with you a little more, and I want you to think about this. And I think people get so sensitive about this subject, which is okay, but what it is we get so sensitive about it that when you say something that might not be politically correct, people are like, yo, I don't know of too many slaves that killed themselves.
I don't.
I'm just being honest with you.
I don't either. I don't either.
And I'm not saying.
I get what you're saying.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think mentally that was the most harshest thing that we can go through. So what are we teaching our kids? What are we teaching ourselves as a society? Have we become that sensitive? Have we become that soft? Have we become that desensitized? Like we're not and I say that because, okay, people who are going through a mental illness, instead of us making fun of them, and you know, do we lend a ear? Do we lend some comfort? Do we lend, you know what I'm saying? Like we haven't learned to work together as a community to uplift each other. Instead, it's easy to tear each other down. And with that, you are not on it today. With that, you know, it's like I said, we become desensitized to a lot of stuff. Like, think about the stuff we watch on YouTube. Like, you saw this person getting their head blown off. You saw this. Like, we become desensitized. And the only reason I use slavery is because I don't know of anything more horrific than people were going through. Right. And jokers wasn't offering themselves like that.
They weren't.
So that's what I'm saying. Have we become that
Lance, the heart is different. We don't. This generation knows nothing about having heart. That's real talk. This generation knows nothing about having heart. They're not willing to do the work to get themselves right. It's almost like you have to have a handout. It's almost like, who's going to do this for me? Who's going to go ahead and change this situation for me? Who's going to do this? Who's going to? No one. These kids know nothing about working hard.
Nah, don't just say these kids.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Don't say these kids.
I'm sorry for saying that.
Because I was a grown woman.
That was a grown woman. But we're talking. We're shifting. I wasn't even thinking about her. I'm just saying, when you mention like how the kids are, how they're different.
But that's why I said when I said this generation, I'm not specifically talking about, you know, just an age group. I'm talking about what's going on in the now, what's going on in the world now. So I mean, from we focused on Prince. We focused on Michael Jackson before. You know, even people constantly popping pills looking for an out.
But see, and that's the thing. A pill doesn't change the situation. In some cases, it might manage it.
Have you ever been on drugs?
No.
Okay. So you can't really speak on
But wait, when you say, have I ever been on drugs, in what sense?
I'm saying in the drugs that you felt, where you were addicted to drugs, or
no.
Okay.
No.
So you can't really say that, because see, again, perception is 90% of a lot of things. You understand what I'm saying? And when people take drugs, a lot of time, you become delusional to where you think that was an out, even if it was for a moment.
So can I ask a question? Do you think some people that are taking pills, do you think it's a possibility that they take it enough to where they just think they're going to sleep and don't realize that it's taking them into...
Yeah, some people expect it to still wake up after they take
and
the pills.
And then they don't.
Some people, and it's not even just the pills. Some people, when they shoot up, they expect that to have that high for a moment, and just, you know, they want to escape it for a minute. I'm not saying it's okay, but if sometimes it becomes... Listen, prescription drugs is one of the worst things ever. But, you know, I mean, they gave us all types of pills to pop when I was in the military. You know, and you popping pills left and right, and next thing you know, you become hooked on them. You know what I mean? So
I want to read something.
Go ahead.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go into some symptoms, when to see a doctor, what the CDC says about the statistics. Okay, so the symptoms, suicide warning signs or suicide...
CDC say.
That's what I need to look up. Can you go and Google and find out? Suicide warning signs or suicidal thoughts include, right? Getting the means to take your own life, such as buying a gun or stocking pills. It mentioned stocking. What did I say just now? Buying a gun, stocking pills, withdrawing from social contact and wanting to be left alone, having mood swings, such as being emotionally high one day and deeply discouraged the next, being preoccupied with death, dying, or violence, feeling trapped. Look, who would have thunk? And that's our topic.
What?
They said feeling trapped or hopeless about a situation, increasing use of alcohol or drugs, changing normal routine, including eating or sleeping patterns, doing risky or self-destructive things such as using drugs or driving recklessly, giving away belongings or getting affairs in order when there's no other logical explanation for doing so, saying goodbye to people as if you won't see them again, developing personality changes or being severely anxious or agitated, particularly when experiencing some of the warning signs listed above.
Or getting on the internet and choosing to let that dictate your life. I.e., I'm going to tell you, how many times, and people don't get in your feelings what I'm about to say.
Okay.
But how many times as us in the black community especially, we've always like, oh, they got that white girl syndrome. And the white girl syndrome was always like, you know, oh, I got to lose weight. Oh, I got to do, you know what I'm saying? And we would play around like that. But I mean, it was the truth. Like most women of ethnicity are okay with a few extra pounds on them. You understand what I'm saying? They don't, you know, for us, we usually like thicker women. We didn't say sloppy. We said thicker women. But, you know, a lot of times what starts to happen is, don't ask me. I don't know what that was. A lot of times what starts to happen is, you know, you have people allowing people to dictate how they're supposed to look. That's why I hate all this surgery and all this nonsense. You know, these girls with the fake butts and, you know, all that stuff that, you know, cosmetic surgery. So you have a lot of people painting pictures of like Barbie dolls of this is what you're supposed to look like, and that becomes the model, you know, of what it is. That's why I saluted Dove when they had kind of went away from that and was like, you know what, women of all shades, women of all shapes. Lori says something that I was looking at earlier, and you know, I always try to go to everything biblical. She said, what is it, Lori L? My father always said that his father said each generation will be weaker but wiser. That's biblical too. And it talks about that. It talks about that in the Word, how each generation is going to become wiser, but they're going to become much weaker. They're not going to be as grounded spiritually, because everything for them they think is going to be able to be explained away, and faith is going to be lost because they're relying on wisdom. They're going to rely on what they think they can see, touch, smell, and taste, as opposed to having some faith in a God that we say that we can't see, you know, in a quote unquote natural. And I think that happens a lot also with the generation. I think it's happening with the generations. I know it's happening with the generations that we're dealing with now. You have individuals who have put stock in a platform that's set before them. So anytime adversity comes, you know, we're quick to run. We're quick to not be able to deal with it and to fold, as opposed to fighting through the pain, because of the fact, and a lot of us fought through the pain because we had that faith that I'm talking about. We had that faith in a higher being and sought strength from. But you know, a lot of us don't have that anymore, and it's sad. You know,
it's so funny because I had said to somebody, with dealing with depression and certain things, someone had asked me, how did you get over this, or how did you do this, and did you ever feel like this? And you know, because a lot of people anyway, my response to that was, I truly believe I'm built for certain things. And my family, I had a great support team with whatever it is that I go through. I have a great support team. And not only that, I watched my family I watched the women in my family. I've watched their strength. I've watched how the men were. I've watched their strength. I've watched them keep fighting even when they wanted to quit. So that's not in me. You know how you mentioned that some things with mental illness, it's genetic. There's just certain things that's not going to be in me by default. There's certain things that's not going to be. I really believe that the way God has created me, because all of my life that I can remember, I've never been one to just stop, to quit, to no longer say I'm going to. I don't care how many times I've cried. I don't care how many times I've bled. I don't care how many times I've had scars. I would just keep going. And it would hurt, but I still kept going. Everyone is built differently. Everyone's emotional tolerance, everyone's spiritual tolerance, everyone's physical tolerance, it's different. And sometimes people think that they can handle it and they'll get through it. But then when that thing actually hits them in the face, it's like, dang, how am I going to get through this? And I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of people out there right now that's tuned in. At some point, I am sure, have said, you know what? I really just wish this would all go away. I wish that there was a day that I just would not wake up to feel any pain. I'm sure there's people out there that have felt like that.
Absolutely. But you know what? This is why I have a big problem with a lot of the ways we are as parents. I don't think we introduce our children to adversity at an early age. I think.
Do you think parents are scared to?
No, I think parents believe that loving a child means babying them. And loving a child means giving them what they want and not teaching them adversity or responsibility. I look at some of, I think everything is a circle and everything is connected somehow.
Right.
So you talk about some of these women who are in dysfunctional relationships, but then you look at the man that they might be in a dysfunctional relationship with, and you realize that this man has never ever truly had to be a man. And in him being a mama's boy, he's a mama's boy to the point where mom is always doing everything, and mom is always telling her son he's right about everything. Anytime he got in trouble in school, it was always somebody else's fault. So he winds up growing up and to be a man age-wise, but he doesn't wind up becoming a man mentally, and there's no strength there. And then he wind up dealing with some of these women who they see the physical attribute of what they see as a man, but mentally he's not pouring into them. And that's what I said, a lot of stuff starts in childhood. You have a lot of us, who we coddle our kids, and we wind up so-called saying we're protecting them. Like, I know a parent, and again, a couple people who, that I've had to counsel. And they're like, well, we don't talk to our children about death. And I'm like, so what do you tell them when they're whoever passes on? We just tell them they went to a better place. And I'm like, but what does that mean, though?
Right.
What does that mean? And so some people, have never even really had to deal with death. Now, when you are protecting them so much, now, let's say you're the person who is protecting them, your mom or your dad, and you have to go to a better place. Now, who tells them about reality? Who lets them know realistically that, about Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny? Who lets them know realistically about, that there's a thing called death? Who lets them know realistically about what it really means to love someone? Who lets them know realistically, and I'm going to say a lot of this for my men, that it's okay to cry as a man.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Because with us, we were taught don't cry.
Right.
So now when you're faced with a situation where it's making you want to shed a tear, you don't know how to deal with it.
Right.
I'm gonna speak from myself. My thing was I always wanted to clench my fist, punch something, and be quick to go out and fight in a heartbeat, or maybe do something else, more severe, because I didn't know how to deal with some of that pain, and that's the thing. We don't talk about our problems and our situations in our community, and we don't know how to deal with that adversity. And let's not even tap into other communities when they're not they're taught to face responsibility. If you're not going to be held accountable, and 2, 3, or 4 years old, when I see some kids, like even my nephew, he throws his bottle down, pick it up.
Right.
Pick it up.
Right.
And we're not moving till you pick that up.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I'm trying to teach you now, you're not going to get your way. And when I hear people say, well, they don't know better. No, let me show you this trick. This is how they do know better. Pick it up and give them that bottle. Watch them throw it down again.
Right.
Because they know you're going to perform like a monkey. You understand what I'm saying?
Half the time they look at you when they throw it.
Yeah, because they want you to sit there and pick it up, so they know what they're doing. You just have to find a way to communicate with them to let them know what they're doing is not right, or it's not something that's going to be beneficial towards them if you got to keep talking to them. So, I mean, you know, like I said, a lot of things that can be avoided with that list that you just read is if we're straight honest with our people, we let people know relationships hurt, which is why at certain ages everybody's, oh, you too strict on your daughters. No, I'm not strict on my daughters, but at certain ages you don't need to be dating, because you don't need to sit there and deal with that heartache and that pain and going through that. You know, there's so many things I wish I could have saved myself from, and so many things. I'm glad I learned it, but I was fortunate enough to be strong enough to be able to deal with those situations. But there's some people who have not, and because they weren't, you know what I mean, they wind up doing just the opposite. They get in a relationship where their heart might have been broken. So now I don't like males anymore. I'm just gonna like all females. Or I don't like females anymore. I'm just gonna like all males. Or da 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 da, because adversity came their way and they didn't know how to deal with it. But it is what it is.
Well,
I'm not being politically correct. I'm not politically correct, and I'm not going to start being that today. I'm not.
We know that, and I don't blame you, and I'm glad you're not. So 6 reasons people attempt suicide. You ready for this?
Not really.
Okay, well, here it goes. They're depressed. They're psychotic. They're impulsive. They're crying out for help. They have a philosophical desire to die, and they've made a mistake. Wow, I didn't even think about that. Well, not that they're crying out for help. You would have thought that they cried out for help prior to the suicide, and maybe people ignore the signs.
You know, my daughter called me. We had a conversation about 5 months ago, and she put me on to something. People can Google if they want to. And she was like, you know, she was reading the Bible, and she was like, is this, you know, this ain't got anything to do with Revelations, does it? And I'm like, what? So she was telling me something about something called the Blue Whale Challenge. And I'm like, nah, sweetheart, that ain't got nothing to do with it. She was like, I didn't think so. She was like, Daddy, just read this. So I'm reading it. So it was this man in Russia who was arrested. And they arrested him because this game he created caused people to kill themselves. So the Blue Whale Challenge basically is I'm not going to spit it verbatim because I don't know verbatim, but I'm just going to kind of touch on it. But basically they cut themselves, and then they got to send a picture. Then they do something else to themselves, and they got to send a picture. Then they got to jump off something high and send a picture. And basically the last challenge is they kill themselves. Now, dummies. Okay?
Right.
How you going to sit there and send a picture of that? You know, this is what I'm saying, though, but this is the type of poison, and I'm going to hold every single parent accountable, too, because when was the last time y'all as parents, this is time where we need to be accountable, too.
Right.
We always say, not me, not my child, not this, not that. When was the last time you checked your kids' history on their computers? When was the last time you checked your kids' history on their phones?
Right.
When was the last time you sat there and saw what social media accounts that your kid has? See, because when my daughter one time, I said to her, bring me your phone. And she tried to be slick because I told her she couldn't have social media accounts. So I saw when she brought me the phone, there was nothing on there. There was no social media accounts. So guess what I did? I went to applications, and then I went to Instagram, and then as soon as I was about to hit it, I saw the cloud there, which means you've had it downloaded. It doesn't say get it. It doesn't say open. Right. It was a cloud
you
there,
deleted it
which
off
means it was deleted it off there.
Off your home screen.
So every social media thing I went to, there was a cloud there.
Wow.
So I'm like, sweetheart, I've been slick.
Yeah.
Like you not running game on me.
Right.
So I'm like, open it now. You know, and she opened all of them. I said, you give me, I forgot the password. We going round for round. I don't want to hear it. So she opened all of them. And it wasn't really anything that, you know, I didn't approve of as far as certain things that was on there. But I wanted to look at the history of stuff that she was looking at. See, we don't check. We give our kids these this free range and this freedom.
And they're kids.
And we, first of all, I wasn't even allowed to watch rated R movies. I had to sneak and watch rated R movies. You know what I mean? Like, my mother was like, "You're not 17," and we laugh and like, oh, you know, da, da, da. But you know what? And yeah, I still was just off the hook, but I snuck and did everything. But my parents can definitely say they had a clear conscience to say, you know what, I did everything I could.
Right.
You know, so if not, you can't say it wasn't because I didn't do everything I could. You know, and we you know, it's way too much. It's way too much freedom. That, you know, I got kids 15 years old telling me about Game of Thrones. What? Why do you know about Game of Thrones?
Right.
Why are you watching all that? Why are you like, and we don't think that when watching it makes them curious about it? Or not even the video games you're playing. All you parents that buy your kids all these PS3s and PS4 and Xbox and stuff like that, do you look at the games they're playing? Do you watch some of the games they're playing? I mean, it's like I said, it's too much freedom, and we use these contraptions to babysit our children instead of sitting here, you know, doing what we need to do to take care of our kids. So
yeah, well,
and that's part of why they're so weak.
That's part of why they're so weak. I think that our parenting skills, I think the schools need to do better. I think that I think that there's a whole lot that needs to be changed in how we interact with the children, interact with our community. Man, it's crazy. Young kids committing suicide left and right. I don't get it. All I can do is try to pray. I do know mental health and mental illness is real. I do believe that depression is real. I do believe that anxiety is very much real. I do believe that there's such thing as PTSD. Why do I believe in it? Because I've seen it. There's people that have totally endured pain that they've never talked about. They've endured trauma. People, they're hiding. I hate to say it like this. Am I wrong? That it's almost like as if we're hiding from ourselves. People are hiding from themselves. And if they can escape from them, literally, I think that I just answered my own question. Their way of escaping from them is by taking themselves out of here. But the sad part is you don't have to do that. You do not have to resort to taking yourself out. You do not have to resort to killing yourself, regardless what your means of attempting is. That does not have to be the final resort. There's always ways to get help. There's always ways to get healed. There's always ways to be made whole. But you just have to get in touch with the right people, surround yourself with the right ones, whether it's a spiritual leader, whether it's a counselor. And here's another thing. We don't talk about counseling in the black community.
So let's talk about it when we come back.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take a break. Hi, Vella. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will be right back. Give us a couple of minutes. If you guys want to hear some good prints, you might want to go ahead and tune in to the www.8squadrebelradio.com, because our Facebook Live, you know how that goes down. But if you tune into the website, you'll be able to hear some good print songs while we are on hold. Okay, we'll be right back.
Tiffany and her sinful, not me.
Whatever.
8 Squad Rebel Radio.
The most talked about internet radio station in the land.